Gathering podcast, where we take a deep dive into the limited format of Magic the Gathering. The Packmates are a group of drafters who enjoy going to their local FNMs, going to RCQs, queuing up, playing some arena, playing some anything Magic related.
Yep. And I am Roby, the resident Dirtle expert.
And I'm Andrew, your resident mid-range expert.
And we're the Packmates. Ryan's not here this week.
Yeah, nor is Joel. It's a dual, I guess they took a week off.
Yeah.
Because we took last week off. So
yeah.
so here we are.
So what did we do last week?
Oh, I was going to say, check us out in our Discord. Yeah. Check us out on our Discord. We're always drafting there. You'll see some of our trophy decks, kind of gain some inspiration from what the Packmates are up to.
Yep. You might get into fights with us on Discord.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, see the meme fights on there. It's pretty good. And actually, we have a pretty good, community there. And so everybody's pretty active, and we've got some really good contributors there.
Yep.
So
we
good
post
advice.
trophy decks, too.
Yeah. And
if you post your trophy decks, we'll probably talk about them.
Yeah. And argue cards with us. Roby really likes that.
I love being triggered on the internet.
Yeah.
It's my favorite.
So, Roby, we did some F&M this week. Actually, Ryan wasn't there either.
Yeah, I was almost going to preface that.
Yeah.
Why weren't we here last week? What did we do? What did we do?
Hey,
I almost forgot to talk about that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, let's talk about it now.
Yeah. So we went to an RCQ.
Yeah.
How did we end up doing?
We actually went to the finals.
Both of us did.
We sat next to each other in the draft as well, which was pretty cool.
Andrew had to he had to write down all of my cards, which was probably like the hardest job out of anyone there, right?
No sorting whatsoever.
Zero sorting.
The cards were completely upside down and not even like facing the same direction. Like he just gave me a pile of cards, like spiraled out of control. And then so he gives me back my cards, spiraled out of control, so much to the point that the judge actually mentioned something about giving piles to people. We ended up getting a very big time extension during the registration
I didn't
phase.
understand how to do it. That's so complicated. And so it just felt super unnecessary. But I get it.
When was the last time you've gone to RCQs?
I've gone to RCQs. I've never gone to like sealed or draft RCQs at all. So yeah. I've only been to one other RCQ.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah. It's always it's a bit of a process, but they only, instead of giving like the 50 minutes or whatever we normally have to build our decks, we actually only got 30 minutes.
Yeah, which kind of sucked. Yeah. I was fine whenever it came to like the actual deck building time. Like I had a sideboard deck ready, even genuinely.
Yeah. It was kind of cool. We had a really good showing, actually. 4 of us went up to this RCQ. There were about, I think it was 16 people in the RCQ. Mm-hmm. There was an event going on in Denver, so a lot of the other grinders there, they normally get about 20-something, 30-something.
Well, there were like 3 RCQs and like within like a 30-mile radius, all happening at once.
Yeah, I think this one capped at 32, if I remember correctly. And so we had 4 people go up, and 3 of us actually got to the draft portion of it,
which is tight.
Yeah, so we all had a record of 2-0-1 or better, something like that. So one tie gets you in, and so it was kind of nice, that clean cut. Roby took me out due to so kids, remember. Double check your deck registration before you give it to a judge, because you never know when you're going to get deck checked.
So from my perspective, the judge comes over and is like, deck check, random deck check. And I'm like, okay, this makes sense. I'm the person who, like every RCQ I've been to, random deck check always, because I tilt people.
Are you just are you that sussy to people where they're just like, we need to check this guy's deck?
They're like, how did this clown just beat me? Every time, genuinely. And so I'm like, I'm screwed.
Yeah.
I don't think anything's wrong, but surely something is wrong.
I gotta tell you, I was sitting there cool as a cucumber, thinking like,
"Oh, Roby's screwed."
I was like, "Roby's screwed. I'm about to get a free win here." Like, I could just see Roby like sweating bullets. Like he wasn't really sweating bullets, but I mean, like, if there was a guy sweating bullets about a deck check, it'd probably be Roby, because Roby, you don't play like the normal 40, right? You're
Yeah.
playing like 43.
I
right?
registered 41.
What the shit?
I
Really?
registered 41.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Genuinely.
Oh,
yeah.
wow. Okay. It was a little out of character for him.
41. Yeah. I was tryharding.
Yeah. So they give Roby back his deck and they said, Andrew, we need to see you in the corner here for a second.
And I was like, it was still me.
Yeah, I thought that too. I was walking up there. I was like, oh, well, clearly they're going to say, like, what do you want to do with this? You know, Roby's going to register his deck wrong. Like, how do you want to proceed here? Yeah, I thought it was going to be one of those things. No, I was just dumb and I put my stuff, like, I put my kind of leavings when I was building my deck next to where I placed my deck. So I grabbed my deck, I grabbed 3 extra lands, and now I was playing with 3 extra lands that I didn't register. And so the judges could definitely tell, like, it was just I grabbed it out of my deck box, like, by mistake. Or sometimes you have extra lands just kind of sitting next to the stuff that you're going to slide in. And so that's kind of what happened. And so word to the wise, always check your deck before you present it to your opponent because you never know when you're going to get a deck check.
Yeah.
So they gave me a game loss, and then Roby ended up beating me down in a pretty close game.
It was super close. Like I almost missed it, right? Like I almost missed the lethal line that you had on me.
Yeah.
And,
I was really hoping you didn't. But,
well, I almost missed that I could have done something about it, right?
Yeah. You actually went back. You were like, oh, okay. Cool. I was like, whatever.
Yeah, it was so funny though, because like whenever I got my deck back, I was like, it's totally still me. And then Andrew's gonna get a game win against me. And I was like, wait, why would they give me back my deck? Because then I would just destroy all the evidence if I actually did anything, right? Yeah, but it was super fun.
Oh, man. Yeah. So that was good. Actually worked out pretty well, though, because Roby was able to tie into the next round. I'm on my next one.
Yeah, super fun.
Yeah, my power level deck was pretty decent.
Yeah,
so
RCQs are fun.
Yeah.
Yep.
It was fun. Then we got to the draft. The draft was kind of fun. Everybody was in.
Andrew was right next to me, which is probably like the worst spot to be.
Oh, man. I sat down and I just
the worst
sighed.
spot to get clear signals.
It was so bad. Roby missed like the whole like picking of the cards. I think he was just like outside.
No, I was there.
Were you there? Did you pick your card? Who was not there? Someone wasn't there.
I got a pretty. It was someone in our group. Yeah.
Someone in our group like just didn't go to the picking of the cards for random seating. Anyways, and so I'm sitting down. I was like, oh, Roby's here. Oh man. And I was like, so I just know I'm not going to get a clear signal like ever. And then
I ended up going black white, and I had a pretty mid deck and got knocked out.
So Roby goes, Andrew, I switched colors in mid pack 2, and now I was like, he had been feeding me some other colors, and then just switched into white for some reason mid pack 2, and was like,
I got a pretty
white.
hard signal though.
Yeah,
I got something that put me in white. Yeah.
I ended up going white green, and I had a pretty. Oh no, white. I'm sorry. No, I was going green red in that one. Actually, it was the previous week in that other RCQ that I went white red or white green, and no, it was fine. The guy who beat me, Ben, he actually was in our car as well, and so he was a driver, he was a wheel man.
Oh, he got you in the draft round.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he got me in the draft round. Yeah, it was. We had some pretty close games. He had some really good aggressive starts. But in the end, he just ended up getting me, and then he ended up losing in the last round. He destroyed his opponent the first game, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, Ben's about to go to the finals."
That was a real nail biter.
Yeah, and then he just I don't know. We were all, we took the next hour on the car ride back to like examine what the hell went wrong there, and I guess it boiled down to mulliganing, and that's it's a pretty big thing when you're playing for some stakes of like trying to get to a RCQ or trying to get that invite. You're playing for some big stakes there, so you got to play a little bit tighter sometimes.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So what advice do you have for people going to RCQs? If you haven't gone to an RCQ and you want to, make sure you're like ultra try-harding, right?
Yeah, I mean.
like, because everyone, like, it's easy to like be like, oh, well, I'll just go to this RCQ. But like people are really, really, really try-harding at these events. So
yeah, everybody's wanting to.
Make sure you're ready.
Everybody wants to live the dream there.
Yeah.
And so it's like, it's kind of nice. I think another thing is just like, if you're going to go to RCQ that's kind of outside of your town, get a good group of friends.
Yeah, for sure.
And that just makes the car ride so much nicer. It's a lot of fun just kind of chilling with the boys.
Oh, yeah.
Or the girls, the guys.
That's the only reason why I go to those. It's just
fun.
to hang out, right? Yeah.
Don't let them call shotgun the day before.
Yeah.
I don't know who would do that, Roby.
Yeah. Amen, brother. I did call shotgun the day before.
You totally did.
Beautiful. And I got it. The way there and back.
Yeah, everybody protested that, and then like the rest of the people in the car like showed up late, and so
I was there on time.
He literally was sitting in the passenger seat.
I made sure to be a couple minutes early just to get shotgun. I need the aux cable.
The aux cable, yeah, it was given to him. It was given to him freely. Yeah, so now it was a lot of fun, and just like you're paying like $60-something. It's
it's a lot of money for sure.
Yeah, and the price the prices were kind of like accordingly, but it's kind of nice when you get those little promos and what have you. So,
Yep.
It's all good.
Those promos were good.
Yeah. So we went to F&M.
Yeah.
It was a little light F&M, a little 8-man, just kind of in and out, quick.
Yeah, I think me and Andrew both did pretty mediocre this week. We both had pretty mediocre decks.
Yeah.
I'll just go through mine first. It was pretty mid. I had a black-white deck. Kind of my comfort zone in the format is black-white. Like, it's pretty easy to put together. You don't actually need rares for it to be successful. I've had a couple 7-win decks on Arena with 0 rares. But, just the basic black-white stuff. Extracted Confessions, the Unscrupulous Agents, just kind of your typical stuff. I was running 2 magnifying glasses, which is pretty controversial, but just attrition people go super late game. So that was my deck. It was pretty mid.
It looked like it had some fun late game kind of things when we played. We got to this
Crowd Control Warden, which is a hilarious card to put in black white.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
And I also had Tesa, which is pretty good. That's what put me in black white, was like a 6-pick Tesa.
Oh, somebody passed it to you?
Yep, the 3-mana legendary creature. If you haven't played with it yet, just know it's good. It's a 2/3 with Death Touch. Whenever an opponent at your end step, investigate it if an opponent lost life this turn. So if you deal 1 damage to them, then you get a clue, which is good. And then whenever a clue you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, create a 1/1 spirit creature token. This ability triggers only once each turn, which is just super good.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like I had an interaction where somebody used their monkey, their orangutan, to destroy one of my clue tokens, and I got a 1/1 spirit because of it. Because it was on their turn. Man. Yeah, which is so sick.
Oh man, that's so good. Yeah, that Tesa was really strong. And when I was playing against it, I had to figure out a real plan to get rid of it because it was giving you a lot of value throughout the thing.
It
so
definitely gives a ton of value.
Yeah. So
one funny thing about my deck, how I won my the games I did win, were killing people using Presumed Dead as a pump spell. Which is not its intended use, but sometimes it's there, right? It still gives +2/+0.
Yeah, it still does. Instant speed.
Instant speed, yep.
Oh, man. Well, on Friday, I ended up drafting. I wanted to just do mono green. Like, I was totally going to force mono green. I opened up a Sharp-Eyed Rookie, and so I said, okay, it's green. And so I was like, I'm just going to go up vertically from here. And I was like, okay, I saw these cool, like, green mid-rangey type decks online, like on 17 lands, or if somebody's like on a content creators were talking about them. I was like, okay, it's kind of fun. I'll try some mid-range. And I was like, okay, well, I'm going to need some other kind of splash thing. And I couldn't really figure out what I wanted to do, but I did get like 2 Matriculous Archives, the dual lands. And so I said, okay, well, that's going to be I'm going to go either white or blue. So I took some blue cards. They had a little bit of Collect Evidence. And then I had some white cards, like some really good ones too. I actually had like a Unyielding Gatekeeper and a Novice Inspector and a couple on the jobs. And so those are like pretty premium white cards there. And so I was like, what am I going to do? Am I going to do like the basic ass green white deck, or am I going to do this Collect Evidence chalk outline craziness? And I kind of looked around. I'd just done the RCQ. And so I was like, you know what? I want to have some fun today. And so I chose fun. I went 1/1/1. I don't know if it was like, if I'd have gone through the white, probably I would have done quite a bit better. but it was a lot of fun. It was interesting. I don't think I had like all quite the payoffs for it. Just not multiples enough.
It's so hard to like actually. I kind of refuse to believe that's even like a real like viable strat, like chalk outline specifically. I think Insidious Roots could work.
Yeah,
the chalk outline's just too expensive.
Yeah, it took a lot to get going. Even I tripped it like 4 times in one game and it still felt like I was behind.
Yeah, right.
Which was
Like,
just crazy.
yeah.
Flavor loss here. I felt like Bite Down on Crime should have been Take a Bite out of Crime, like McGruff the crime dog. And I feel like they missed a flavor thing. I don't know if it was licensed or something like that. But man, every time I played Bite Down on Crime, I was like, I'm going to take a bite out of crime. Something like Scruff McGruff.
That's one of those cards I always mispronounce too.
Yeah. It's a good card. I mean, that like very strong. So I had some premium green cards, and it just, it didn't work out so well. ended up tying with Roby in a round that was like very, very long.
Very long,
Yeah, very long round. There may or may not have been a timer that wasn't set, and we may have played maybe
No
about an
time
hour.
and round was called.
Time and round was
No
called.
time and round
Yeah,
was called.
it was a little.
I would have got him to decking.
Yes, in our hour and 45-minute match.
I would have decked him out.
But anyway, so
It was
yeah.
a long one. Yeah,
Yeah,
our
and
game 2 was long too.
Yeah, game 2 was pretty long. So it was a good time. I actually had fun. I was setting out
Yeah,
for
that's
fun,
the point, right?
and I was like, all right, I'm gonna have fun.
The game is supposed to be fun, right?
Yeah. You try hard at the RCQs, but if I was really gonna go for it, I would have just played that Unyielding Gatekeeper, just started killing things.
Yeah.
Just start going to town with that on duty or something like that, on the job. Yeah,
On the job, yep.
so
Which has kind of turned out to be kind of a format staple at this point.
yeah, I
On
think
the job,
Oh yeah,
we were kind of wrong about that one.
I think so. I was definitely wrong about it. I didn't realize how much that investigation token on it, like just that stapled onto it, really helps out quite a bit, and just combat tricks in general in this format.
I think
are good.
just like all the random cards that make additional bodies kind of just push it over the top.
Mhm.
So like Dog Walker, like specifically Dog Walker, Inside Source,
Yeah.
and the my least favorite, Person of Interest. Yeah. Which is like my least favorite of those. Yeah.
So we may have been wrong about a few cards, but are some cards that have been like overperforming for us, or we really want to kind of look at them now and maybe take a second look?
Yeah, that sounds like fun.
Yeah. All right.
I've got 3.
You got 3?
I'll start with number 1.
Number 1.
Secret unbelievable text. So let me start with my spiel.
Okay.
So one thing that we've learned about this format is literally any card that makes 2 bodies for 1 card
Mhm.
is just good enough.
Yeah.
Genuinely. Like there's multiple versions of this. Like, right? Like Dog Walker is probably like one of the best.
Mm-hmm.
Inside Source is also one of the best. Museum Night Watch, even like basically all the cards, all the white cards that are making double bodies are just so good. And one that people don't include in this is Krovod Haunch. The dorky 1 mana equipment that gives a creature +2/+0, and then you could sacrifice it because it's a food equipment, and you gain 3 life for 2 mana. But whenever it's put into a graveyard from the battlefield, you may pay 2 mana. If you do, create 2 white dog creature tokens.
Oh wow.
So there's a reason why this card is good. So like one of the biggest reasons is like where it lands on the curve.
Uh-huh.
White has one other good 1-drop, right?
Yeah.
The novice, whatever.
Yeah, the 1/2 that
The
makes
1/2 that makes a clue, the
Yeah.
Thraben Inspector.
Mhm.
So like if you don't get infinite amounts of those, like you don't have 1-drops that are playable.
Yeah.
So like it fits on curve, it gains you life, so it helps you in like the race.
Mm-hmm.
And the making 2 dogs is super real.
Yeah.
Super, super real. Like you will get a buff the first time you play it against someone. Like, because nobody knows that you can do this at instant speed and have like an instant call in the reinforcements or whatever that one card was called. That where you can just make 2 1/1s.
Yeah.
Nobody ever factors in that like the next turn you can get lethal if you like just manipulate it, right? Like it's super, 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 super useful.
Yeah, I didn't realize that it was a food. And so actually when you were playing against me, it was a new thing I just learned. I was like, oh gosh. I was like, how are you sacrificing that? I thought you had to equip it to sacrifice it. No, it's just a food by itself.
Yeah, which is so good.
Yeah, it was really nice. It was kind of sneaky. I didn't realize it. So sometimes you just got to reread the cards again.
And doing it at instant speed is such a cheap move, right? Because nobody knows that you can do that with
Exactly,
it.
yeah.
They just expect you to like attach it to something and just beat down with it,
Mhm.
which it's good for that too.
Yeah.
Like And that kind of like leads to another secret card that kind of combos with it, which is Magnetic Snuffler, which I think is just good enough. It's genuinely good.
The Snuffler's just such cute artwork.
So nobody ever plays it. You always see a wheel.
Yeah.
It's a 5-mana artifact that basically, whenever it enters the battlefield, you can return target equipment card from your graveyard to the battlefield attached to it. So it's just kind of a combo with the haunch.
Okay.
Yeah, you make 4 dogs, which is super real.
Yeah.
And then they died on the job next turn, right?
There you go.
It's
Yeah.
easy. So Korvad Hunch, that's my first one.
Okay.
What's your first one, Andrew?
My first one is going to be, it's actually in green, and this guy has been pretty good recently. It's Vengeful Creeper, actually. And so it's a plant, it's a 5/5 for 5, 4 colorless, 1 green, a plant elemental. It has Disguise 6. And then so when it's turned face up, you get to destroy an enchantment or an artifact an opponent controls. And I found this to be punching above its weight class against some current like uncommons that are very good. Like there's an uncommon to 4/5 that makes your opponent block a creature. And I think just like the incidental like destroying an enchantment or destroying an artifact when you're going a little bit longer actually makes a difference.
Super real.
Yeah. And then having that extra bit of power on there. Most of these guys like that are flipping around this area are on like the 4/5s or the 4/4s. Like having a 5/5, that extra bit of power just lets you punch through these guys quite easily.
Oh yeah.
You can take on a Topiary Panther or something like that, but it's punching above its weight class. And that's something that I really like about it. And I think I'd take one of those over any of the 4/5s that I see first. Like this would be my first.
Oh yeah. It's just like the incidental value of being able to destroy an artifact or enchantment is super, super real in this format. Like there's like a lot of really disgusting things that people do, like Magnetic Snuffler, right?
Yeah.
Which like I also didn't mention that gains whenever you sacrifice an artifact, you put counters on it.
Yeah.
So like a thing I had to happen yesterday was I just got blown out by a Vengeful Creeper.
Oh, man.
Yeah, like that's just the thing, right? Like it gets so many good things. Also
So what's one of your other
underappreciated
draft cards?
I wrote a list and then
You
I
did.
completely forgot it because I didn't actually write it out. But one that people, and there's a hysterical fight over this card in our Discord.
Yeah, check us out there.
Especially in the trophy decks.
Yeah.
And Case File Auditor, the 3-mana detective that's a 1/4, that whenever it enters the battlefield and whenever you solve a case, that's another thing people just don't realize either. Look at the top 6 cards of your library and you may reveal an enchantment card from among them and put it into your hand.
Oh.
Yep. And then put the rest on the bottom in any order. You may spend mana as if it were any color to cast case spells, which hasn't been relevant for me yet. I want it to be relevant for
If that
me,
said
though.
like enchantment spells, how good would that be?
It would be like maybe broken.
Yeah.
I don't know because then you would this would be like the Insidious Roots Master.
Yeah, you just start splashing, right?
Yeah.
Like you just start splashing
Yeah,
the
it would be
craziest
so
things.
sick. But yeah, there are a lot of very good enchantments. Specifically, the white case of the Gateway Express, right? The one
That
that
one's
deals
super strong.
Yeah, the one that deals 1 to a random to a creature.
Something to remember on that case too is that it's the creatures dealing the damage.
Yep, Death Touch does work. Yeah, toxin analysis with that is you also gain a life.
Yes, you do.
Yeah, which was relevant at the RCQ. I blew someone out with that, which is beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. But but flipping it is also unbelievably strong too, because it gives your creatures +1/+0.
Oh, that card's a bomb. It's so good.
It's so good.
Yeah.
Genuinely.
Yeah, you used to see him wheel like the first week because people didn't realize. They were like, I don't know how many
just
creatures
1 damage to a creature for each creature I control.
Yeah, then you realize once you were able to solve it, like how good that card actually is.
Yeah,
And just,
like
you can take that. It punches quite.
Once
above.
they have like 3 life linkers, and they also gain 3 life while they kill your creature too. Yeah.
Oh,
but
man.
it also works really good with due diligence, which is like super underplayed right now, and like the ultimate race card.
Yeah. The vigilance helps out quite a bit, especially giving 2 creatures vigilance the first time it goes through, then having a vigilance guy the entire time. It's very strong.
Super good. Case file auditor. Play him.
Play him.
You need at least 4 enchantments to make him trigger more times than not. Because like the earliest that you could play a case file auditor is on turn 2. And so you would have, or turn 3, right? Turn 3. So you will have at least 30 cards in your deck. And I did all the math. And
is it better or worse than a horned turtle?
It is inarguably better than horned turtle. And if you would like to see my illustration I made for that, join our Discord, because I made a beautiful illustration of how much better it is than horned turtle.
It's totally worth it. Just have a look-see at our Discord in the trophy section.
Yeah,
it made me chuckle quite a bit.
Yeah, it was a fun time for sure.
Oh man.
But yeah. Case file auditor, play him. He's good. What do you have next, Andrew?
I got a Killer Among Us. Now, I know we were all kind of down on this at one point just because we didn't want to read the whole card, right?
I have lost to this card a bunch of times. I still have zero idea how it works.
Well,
I refuse to know.
Oh, yeah. Well, let me help you out. It's an enchantment, so you can catch it with your case file. And so it costs 4 colorless, 1 green, so imminently splashable as well. And so the Killer Among Us, when it enters the battlefield, you get to create a 1/1 white human token creature, a 1/1 blue merfolk creature, a 1/1 red creature, and then you secretly choose human, merfolk, or goblin. And then you may sacrifice the enchantment, the Killer Among Us enchantment, and then reveal the chosen creature type. So you have to write it down, put it underneath it, secretly tuck it away. And then the attacking creature, so it has to be an attacking token creature, and of that chosen type gets 3 +1/+1 counters and will gain Death Touch into the end of turn. So they gain the counters forever, which is really so good about this card.
It makes a 4/4, right?
Exactly.
It makes a 4/4 and 2 1/1s, basically.
Yeah. And that's pretty massive. Like, I didn't realize that at first. I thought it was just like it gave it until the end of turn and then the counters wiped away or something. No, it was like literally like
you get a legit 4/4.
You get a legit 4/4, so you get 6 power, 6 and 6.
There is some weird stuff where you can get blown out whenever you actually sacrifice Killer Among Us, though. Mm-hmm. But I also didn't know that it doesn't have to be the tokens that you just made. Mm-hmm. Like if you have other human creature tokens, they can put all the counters on that, which is disgusting.
Yeah.
I had somebody get me with a doppelganger token of some random human
and
I got mega blown out by it.
That card is also very good, the doppelganger card.
Strong
card. So Killer Among Us, I just, at first I should have known any card that makes like 3 guys is always just like, you got to double look at it again. Yeah. And I think there's an uncommon that's a split card that makes 3 guys as well. It's like 3 Thropters or something. It's like, that's probably good too, and it costs 6. And this costs 5, and you get one that makes a 4/4. Like, it's pretty good.
I've been impressed. Yeah. I still have not played with it yet at all, but
I was hoping to start wheeling them, but I think people have really caught on to it now. We can only say it's bad for so long. And then the results kind of speak for themselves. But every time I'm watching like other content creators like making their decks, like Killer Among Us is always on that first, like when they open the pack, it's always on that first top consideration for something because it's imminently splashable.
Yeah, it's very good.
All right, Roby, what's your last and final one?
This is one I don't see nearly as much as I need to be seeing it. And I'm kind of a little thankful that not literally everyone is playing this card because it's way better than it ever should be. And that is Gearbane Orangutan.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, it turns out that both of its abilities, it's a 2/2 reacher. So people just also attack into it with 1/1s all day, every day.
Yeah.
Because it's a red creature with reach.
Yeah.
That makes zero sense.
Exactly. Well, it's an orangutan, you see orangutans in trees.
So whenever it enters the battlefield, you can choose 1. Destroy an artifact.
Okay.
Or sacrifice an artifact and it gets 2 counters.
Oh, that's pretty nice too.
Yeah, that both very relevant abilities. Mm-hmm. So, I've had insanely good luck with them. Just even making a 4/4 on 3 is pretty disgusting. If you're able to make like a clue that you're able to sacrifice or anything, like it's just so good.
Yeah. When I first saw this card, I thought, man, this guy seems like a great sideboard card. And then now I'm thinking, wow, this guy should just be played main board all the time.
Like a 4/4 reach is super real.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, especially for 3 mana. Like if you're ever able to do that, like it just like pays for itself in the late game. And like even a 2/2 reacher is like pretty fine in this format.
It trades quite a bit. But once you get to that 4/4, 3/3s kind of trade too, but a 4/4 that has a lot of staying power.
Yeah, genuinely.
And it dodges a lot of like the +2/+2.
They have to use a real removal spell on it.
Yeah, or like put a massive pump spell behind their creature, which is fine too.
Yeah, genuinely.
Yeah.
But
oh, man.
I've been super impressed with it. Play Gearbane Orangutan. The name's so hard to say.
Gearbane Orangutan. Very nice. Very nice. Well, my last one, he's a little controversial. Goblin Maskmaker.
I agree. I'm on you. I've been saying that's good.
Yeah, I didn't give it its day, and then spoiler alert, we're gonna go look at some Pro Tour decks as well that came up this weekend. But that guy was pretty prominently featured in quite a bit of decks, and I think just being able to jump your face down creatures a turn is so good.
Yeah, it's a very, very strong curve play.
It very is. Yeah, so it's 1 red for a 1/2 Goblin Citizen. So going back to the old Citizen days. And whenever Goblin Maskmaker attacks, face down spells you cast this turn cost 1 less to cast. So that's all your spells. So on 4, you can actually double spell 2 face down guys.
That's so good.
Which is sick. And all it needs to do is attack. It doesn't need to get in. So I've seen people just suicide I've seen him just throw him in there and he's just dive bombing. And then you have open mana anyway, so now you're like, crap, do I really take this guy or what? So there's a little bit of gamesmanship there as well. And so it's strong, like it just can give you 2 mana sometimes. And so
one thing I've really noticed about this format too is it's almost like hardly ever worth it to waste removal spells on your opponent's 1-drops. So 1-drops like gain so much more value because they can stick around as long as you want them to. Like especially like Maskmaker. The other one is the Snarling Gorehound, which should also be on my list. But yeah.
Like if Brian was here, he would have it on his list for sure. He's done it pretty well, and that card's been very strong. It's an interesting card too because you want it to be aggressive, but it's actually super strong in mid-game strategies as well.
Oh, yes. Like you just being able to manipulate the top of your deck every time you play a card with less than 3 power, right? Like it's so good, genuinely.
Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah. So it's kind of interesting.
Yeah, play all those cards. Let us know if you have success with them.
Yeah. We may have been wrong about them early on, but, that's what speculation and all those kind of early reviews are about. As the format evolves, it's one of those things where you kind of see cards rise to the top.
It's so hard to like evaluate a format before you've actually played it. Yep.
And this format turned out to be a lot different, from week 1 to now.
It is very straightforward.
I think it evolves quite a bit.
It's the most racy format. Like you just race people to.
I don't know. I think there's some game like with some of these mid-range decks now, and I think there's different.
That might be the next phase, right?
Yeah, like we'll get past the Boros phase at some point, and we'll figure out these cards are actually pretty good.
I've been on the mid-range since day 1, right?
Yes, you have. Look, you're actually going towards the late game with your magnifying glasses. So you're ready for that mid-game phase when everybody's like in the mid-game era and you're in the late game.
If there is a late game deck in any format, I will find it immediately and play that.
I always think that's why you're always like really strong towards the end of format sometimes because you're already a step ahead of everybody.
I've perfected a deck.
Well, yeah, like when everybody's in the early game, like we're going to be in our aggro era, you're in the mid-game era. And then when everybody's like, finally we got to the mid-game era, you're already in the in-game era. You're in the late game stages.
I know the most degenerate late game strats.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's just kind of fun. Anyway, so there's a Pro Tour this week, actually. And so it's Pro Tour Murders at Karlov. And so I thought we'd look at some people who actually drafted 6-0, so they went 3-0 and 3-0. And so I wanted to highlight a couple of their decks. And so this one is actually, it's a kind of an interesting 4-ish color deck. It's basically like a base green. It's by Tyler Hatchell. And It actually has some interesting things here. It's got an Archdruid's Charm, so that's a good rare. It's got a Killer Among Us. We talked about that earlier, being very good.
Yeah.
It's got quite a bit of flip creatures, but something that it's doing is collecting evidence. And so this is kind of like a more basic blue-green deck. And so it's got the Forensics Researcher, the 1/3 that lets you untap a permanent. And then for 3, you can tap or for 3 collect evidence, you can tap a creature somebody controls. And then it also has the 2-drop Evidence Examiner at the beginning of your attack phase. You can collect evidence of 4.
And then whenever you collect evidence, you get a clue, right?
Exactly. And it's got some Rubble Belt Mavericks, which are pretty strong in these kind of collect evidence strategies, or just filling up a graveyard. You get to surveil 2 with that guy. So you're already filling up the graveyard. And then as a kind of bonus when he dies, which he will die because he's a low 1/1, you get to put a +1/+1 counter on something you control at sorcery speed. And so this is a pretty sweet, he's got a couple of counter spells here, kind of light on the removal side of things, which we kind of see in this format quite a bit. But there's actually an interesting card here that I like to point out, and it is the Lumbering Laundry. And if you look at some of the other Pro Tour decks around here, you're going to notice Lumbering Laundry is in quite a few of them.
Because he's free. He's free to get.
Yeah.
He is a free Magic card that will wheel 100% of the time, right?
Yeah, of course. I
think
think
pretty good.
Yeah, the value of information in this format is pretty strong. In the FNM this week, I had an opponent who had 3 face down creatures. And it's like, wow, it would be even better if I could see what those creatures are. Because I know my opponent was forgetting them because they kept looking at them every turn. And so just being able to have all that information is something that I think a lot of more advanced players like to have. Those telepathy type cards. Those I'm going to peek at your, not telepathy itself, but peek at your hand, or
telepathy
see cards,
or
even a duress or something like that. Yeah, exactly.
Modern legal,
yes.
Telepathy.
Yeah, but a duress or something like that, where you get to see somebody's hand, you write it down, you can kind of deconstruct their strategies. Just having a little bit of more information is always good.
One thing interesting looking at this deck, this is a deck full of cards that are free to get in a draft. None of these cards are super highly sought after at all. This is a pile of scraps to me almost. I've seen every single one of these cards, even the rares, wheel.
Yeah.
Even they're all super kind of niche, but it's interesting to see how they all kind of work together a little bit. Pretty solid.
I think just the amount of surveil that he has is kind of, even with the 2/1 automaton.
Yeah, that card's just fine, right?
Yeah.
I put that in literally every day.
It's a kind of sneaky good. A good line is the Rubble Belt Maverick, surveilling 2 and then playing the Evidence Collector and getting that token right away.
Yeah.
Or even cycling the Topiary Stomper, which is 6, collect evidence power there is very good. And then you have the Gloom Widow, just kind of getting there to take you to the late game if you need to. But yeah, I kind of like these. It's kind of interesting. We don't really see Simic being at top tables all the time.
Yeah, it's one of the least developed archetypes usually in every format.
Exactly. So it's kind of cool to have it have its day in the sun right now.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. Cool deck.
We'll take a look at another one as well, and that was.
This is an actual deck I see all the time.
We could do this one or this one.
Yeah, I literally see this deck on Arena 100% of the time. There is one sneaky good inclusion in here that I don't see nearly as much as I probably should. But
yeah. So we're talking about Luis Scott Vargas's. He's a limited resources, fame, and also Pro Tour fame. And so he went 6-0 in the draft, which is not a surprise. The guy is one of the beasts of limited and of Magic just in general. And so he went with Boros, which is arguably the best.
The top deck.
Deck right now.
I've had very, very bad luck with it though, but that's beside the point.
Yeah, but he's got some interesting things. He's got featuring 2 Goblin map makers.
Yeah.
2 of them in this deck. And that is something else, that map maker has really, really got on the map now.
The funniest thing to me about this deck is the Essence of Antiquity. The 110 is hysterically funny in this
110,
deck. Yeah. That blanks an opponent's removal spell.
Yeah.
It's a card that I was horrified the first time I saw this. I'm like, oh, white decks are just going to be able to trick me and I'm going to waste murders on them.
Yeah.
And then they're just going to flip their Essence of Antiquity and I'm going to have to play around this card all the time. I have seen it one time in the wild.
Yeah. I think
people don't play it.
I feel like more people should be playing it. It's actually not bad.
Yeah, like it's impossible to get through.
Oh,
like it's
absolutely.
a 110. It's a 110.
The hexproof that it gives, right? It gets hexproof when it flips up. And so that's kind of nice. And it's already like, it kind of breaks the rule in a little bit of ways when you're like that 2 toughness rule or something like that.
It's the one card that does in the format.
You know, it's not going to really kill anything very much. It's not going to trade with a 2/2 because it's a 110. But man, is it like just kind of a spicy card, and just that extra saving your guys is just so strong. Like I've noticed hexproof in this set is pretty good because everybody's a little light on removal these days, or that's why I think the pump spells are a little bit better now these days, or at least in this set it seems to be the way. But yeah, like here we go with the 2 of those.
Ferocious Rage, which is just a good card.
Yeah,
like people don't play that probably as much as they should. Like it's just so good to like get a 2/2 off of, because 2/2s are like the bread and butter of the format, right?
I thought this is like, when I look at this deck, I feel like somebody else on the table got the most insane Boros deck, and this was just like the scraps left over. Minus like I opened up a good rare with the case that lets you loot.
He's got a lot of the premium pieces. Like Reckless Detective is probably like the best red 2-drop in the entire format, genuinely.
Yeah.
Like it is so hard to be a Reckless Detective just because of like the card selection of being able to like pitch a card and draw a card each time you attack with it.
Oh yeah.
It's so unbelievably strong. And he's got the pump spells to back it up too. And like that card's just so gross. And so that's like the best red 2-drop. He also has Dogwalker, Novice Inspector, like Lightning Helix. He's got a lot of premium commons and uncommons for sure.
Yeah, these are pretty sweet. It's kind of nice to, definitely check them out and get some inspiration from the Pro Tour people, who went the 6-0. I mean, that's not, you're playing against the best of the best there.
One other card that I saw in there that I don't see represented nearly enough is the Harry Dronesmith. So good, genuinely. Like making a 1/1 Thopter every turn is so gross. There's like absolutely disgusting, degenerate things you can do with the like 2 power decks because you're always bringing in a 2-power creature every turn. So like infinite turns on your flying on your Market Watch guy. Yeah. And also like insanely good with Neighborhood Guardian. Like absurdly stupid. Yep. But yeah.
It's gonna be pretty nice when you have your Vigilante going and you're just like pumping that token.
Vigilante's okay too, right? Like
Vigilante's become very, very strong.
Yes. I've been impressed with them. Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well,
I think that's all. Is that all we got this week?
Yeah, that's all we got this week for you guys.
Gonna do a superfecta without Ryan?
Top 4 music genres.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
I'll start it off. Classical music.
Lame. So lame. I'm gonna say what like trap rap.
Trap rap?
Yeah, like trap.
Very good.
Like,
very good. Very
yeah.
Good. 90s gangsta rap.
Okay, what's another? It's starting to.
Oh, actually, you get to go too. I'm sorry.
We just go back and forth.
Okay, we'll go back and forth. Yeah, good.
All right. It's starting to not be as cool as it used to be, but I'm still kind of a fan of, I still like hyperpop.
Ooh, I do like hyperpop.
Hyperpop is tight. Yeah.
Oh, man. Canadian indie music.
What? Give me an example. Give me an artist.
Like Metric and stuff like that. Like
I don't know what that is.
Exactly.
Metric?
Yeah, Metric. People know. The people know who know.
That's funny. I'm gonna go with a controversial one. Yeah. Djent.
Djent?
Yeah.
I don't know what is
Djent. It's pronounced Djent. People like jokingly call it Djent. It's like a form of progressive metal where like it's literally named after the sound the guitar makes because it's real.
Oh.
It's real chuggy.
Whoa. Okay.
It's super funny to me. It's like they only use 8-string guitars and they play like 1 string.
Oh wow. What the hell?
Like it's hilarious. Yeah.
All right, let's see.
Genre.
Let's see. Oh man, we left country open, wide open. I mean, that's such an easy one.
I'm trying to dig deep.
Yeah. I want to pick. Oh man, pick some soul music. I just like some funk or something like that. Like funk music, like some old school funk though. I kind of dig that, like Earth, Wind, and Fire kind of stuff.
I'm gonna pick an extremely deep mall soft.
Whoa.
Mall soft. One of my favorite mall soft albums is called Groceries. And like it is exactly what it sounds. It sounds like a busy grocery store.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
For like it's like an hour long.
Nice.
Album of like a busy grocery store is what it sounds like. It's like people in their bedroom making sounds that like sound like a busy mall.
And so, okay, wow.
It's super, super obscure and funny. Yeah, I strongly suggest it.
I know when I'm at work, I just like listen to lo-fi beats, and that's just like so good for like.
I don't listen to music like that.
Really?
I don't listen to music in the background. Like whenever it's playing, I have to listen to it.
But what about the grocery store song?
I listen to it.
You listen to it?
I listen to it. Like I'm in the grocery store. Like.
Wow, that's kind of meta, right? Like you're like,
yeah,
I'm in the grocery store listening to a
appeal
grocery
of it
store.
To me, like it's like I'm listening to it like I would listen in a grocery store.
But you're in a grocery store, listening to a grocery store.
Yeah, super meta.
Right?
It's Inception.
Oh man,
is the top still spinning? Yeah, I think that's all we got this week.
All right, we'll catch y'all later.
Bye.